Hey everybody, it's Alicia with Graceful Plants, and today the goal is to clean off my sun porch table. So this summer has kind of been just a catch-all for succulents, and my sun porch table has been catching them. So I have been a propagating fool this summer, and a lot of those ended up just kind of getting stuck into whatever random planters, whatever, containers I had laying around to try and either reroot them to grow babies or to let the stretched out succulents grow enough to where they could grow a compact head on them so that I could behead them and then use the head in an arrangement and use the stalk, leaves, etc. for more propagation. So I'll show you kind of what has all been collecting on our sun porch table this whole summer. I told John, I'm like, it looks so bad just because there's no rhyme or reason to hardly anything that I've got out here. It's just kind of, things got stuck wherever I had room at the time. And yeah, it's kind of a mess. Let me show you. So you can kind of see I have quite the random assortment of succulents and, leaf propagations. And so this is probably going to end up being probably 2-3 part video. Otherwise, this is going to be about a 3-hour long video. So the first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through all of these different containers, behead the succulents that have nice rosettes on them. So like this Pearl von Nürnberg, you can kind of tell she was a little stretched out, but she's got that nice rosette on top. So what I'm going to do with her is I'm going to cut this nice rosette off the top. We're going to do a mini arrangement of just cuttings. And then I will end up taking the stem, potting it in just a random container that I have and letting that grow some babies. So this is a really good example of this one. These guys were extremely stretched out when I got them, really scraggly looking. But 2 months later, they've got nice little tops on them. All right, so I'm not sure how much of this I'm gonna film today. I'm thinking that I might just focus my camera down on the succulents that I'm working on so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm still new to this whole YouTubing video thing, so I don't exactly have the skills to put up 2 cameras yet, one for the succulents and one for me to kind of match them up. Not that good yet. So I think that's going to be the best thing to do so then you can actually see what I'm doing, because let's face it, you're watching this video, you want to see the succulents. You don't want to see this. So yeah, let's get to it. All right. So like I said, ideally, I would probably let these go even longer just to get, a little bit bigger of a succulent to kind of work with here. But like I said, I promised John that I would try to get the table cleaned off so we can actually have dinner out here and enjoy our sun porch again. So I'm going to start by pulling off a few of these littler leaves here. And I have no idea what this succulent is called, which a lot of these, I don't know the names because like I said, this is kind of just a grab bag of, hey, you want some succulents? And yeah, I do. But I can tell you already that the leaves from this guy, whatever they are too thin to really propagate well. I'm sure it can be done, but I wasn't exactly focusing on making sure the leaves were ready to be propagated with this guy because I have had such a hard time trying to propagate these. So I'm gonna keep them, put them aside. I will throw them in a propagation tray. And there we go. So I don't know how well you guys can see this, but this succulent does have kind of that dustiness on the leaves that give it that nice color. So I'm going to try really hard not to touch the leaves of any of the succulents that are like this, to try to kind of keep them looking nice while I do the arrangement. And you're not gonna break all of these leaves off perfectly either. Like these ones, I literally just broke every single leaf. Except that one. And you do want to leave a few leaves on the stems too, if you plan on keeping the stem to try to grow new babies. You can definitely get babies on the stems without leaves, but having that leaf there definitely helps it out. So as you can kind of see, maybe, I don't know, you can see down in here, there's already another little baby growing on here. So when I cut this off, I'm going to be really careful not to cut that baby off, and we're going to leave that on the main stem. There you go. There's another Pearl von Nuremberg. You can definitely see with these ones, I'll try to get this in here. You can see with these, the difference between the leaves that have been touched a lot and the new growth on there, the color difference with that dusty, that kind of dusty coverage on the leaf. And you'll notice a lot of these succulents have reverted back to kind of just the basic grain. That's because I really haven't been giving them, you know, a ton of light to kind of stress them out to get that coloring, because I was more focused on getting these guys rooted, because a lot of them, like I said, didn't have roots on them, were in rough shape. I kind of just planted them and then left them so that they could kind of recover from the shipping, because a lot of them were in pretty rough shape. So this is a neon breaker, really sad looking, I know, but he's got a baby in there, so we're gonna cut him out. So I found that when you're beheading succulents, I've had more success leaving just a little bit of a stem versus leaving this whole stem and sticking it in the soil to root, just because the plant then doesn't have to send energy all the way down this stem to produce roots down here. All it's got to do is go from here, you know, to here. And like I said, I'm not a professional. This is, like I said, this is just things that I've kind of learned by trial and error. Definitely more error than trial. And does anybody know what this is? This was another one of those grab bag succulents. And I don't know if this is stretched out or if this is the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. I really don't know. And then this guy, this was my only arrangement. This was the arrangement that I did to actually put on the sun porch table. So this was the only one that I really meant to be out here. And when I had done it, I knew that this guy was pretty stretched out, but at the time he looked pretty good in here, just to give it a little bit of height to the back. But now he's grown a baby down here and he's pretty stretched out. There's no need for this huge stem, so he's gotta go. He's gotta go, gotta go. There's the baby. And this is another one of those random totes that I was telling you about, that I was throwing in random tops and cuttings and leaves and kind of just whatever I had in here. So this is a top that I had knocked off another one of the plants, so I'm probably gonna put him in there. Let's see what else. This was a baby off of the sunburned Fred Ives that I had gotten. He's a little crooked, so I'm gonna trim the rest of that off. Ideally, when you're beheading your succulents, you kind of want to do it the night before, so that it gives a little bit of time for the stems to callus over, so that it doesn't absorb any moisture from the soil. However, I am using, so this is going to be the dish that I'm going to put some of these cuttings in. I have been using the Bonsai Jack gritty mix for my succulents because I am an admitted self-overwaterer. So I have an issue with loving my succulent babies to death by water. And seriously, this is the best thing I have ever done. This stuff is amazing. The succulents love it. My new cactus is loving it. You cannot overwater using this stuff. So if you're a chronic overwaterer like me, or overlover, let's just call it overlover. I think that sounds better. So if you're a chronic overlover of your succulents, this is definitely an investment to get. It's a little pricey, but I'll tell you what, if it's gonna save my succulents, I am all for it. So yeah, this stuff is great. So I had put this in the dish yesterday and then put it in the sun to kind of dry out any possible moisture that might have been in there. So I'm not too worried about putting my fresh cuttings into this guy. And then we won't water them for a few days either. Let's see what else we can pick out of this guy. You can see some of the stems that I've got in here are growing babies. Let's see. A lot of these guys aren't big enough yet. I don't feel are big enough yet to cut off. So this guy, and then again, I might throw him back in to the propagation tote because why not? I mean, the stem's still alive. I don't know how these ones grow, so I don't know if more will grow along here or not. So we're gonna throw it back in and see. I'm definitely, and like I've said, guys, I'm definitely no expert on succulents. I am just a trial by fire. These are the things that I've done. These are the things that have worked. These are the things that haven't worked. These are the things that I've kind of noticed work better, don't work so good. I have killed a lot of succulents. A lot. So if you're a newbie like me, don't feel bad about trying things. I wouldn't recommend going out and spending a ton of money on some super pretty rare succulents if you're just starting out and you kind of haven't got a feel on how things go yet. Because succulents can be fairly easy, but they can also be tricky if you're an over lover of water like me. So that's just my kind of suggestion is, you know, play around. I know you don't want to kill your plants, but it's a learning curve. That's the only way you're going to figure things out is to try. Like I said, I've tried a couple different kinds of soils. I have accepted the fact that I have a problem with watering. So the soil that I was using just wasn't working for me because it was holding in too much moisture. So I switched it up, and it's the best thing that I've ever done because they're loving it. Probably because they know that the soil is saving them from me. So they're happy. They're happy that I'm no longer trying to murder them. So that's just kind of my suggestion. So just throwing that out there. Let's get back to kind of going through these guys. So this is another one. This guy was another I found on the floor of Lowe's. Brought him home, stuck him in the soil. Didn't really mess with him too much, but as you can kind of see, hopefully because I suck at this focusing thing, but he's already growing roots from the bottom here and from where this other leaf was attached that I did pull off. If you're noticing, I'm picking out an awful lot of cuttings to put in this tiny little bowl.